Hey there, beautiful souls. I'm Colynn
And I'm Meridee.
and welcome to Spiritual Sisters with Sass, the podcast where two sisters with a passion for spirituality and a touch of sass come together to explore the exciting world of self-improvement.
That's right, Colynn. We embarked on this incredible journey together, diving into different self-improvement techniques, yoga practices, and a whole array of life experiences.
Yeah, and through it all, we've managed to create lives that are abundant, happy, and constantly evolving. It's been a wild ride, hasn't it, Meridee?
You bet, sis. We've got two very different perspectives on life, but that's what makes this podcast so special. I'm all about diving in head first into life's adventures and embracing every challenge with a bit of sass. While Colynn here, she's got her own unique approach.
Yep, that's me. And I'm all about the yoga, mindfulness, and finding my zen. And together we make the perfect balance.
So whether you're looking for some wisdom, a few laughs, or just some heartfelt stories, you're in the right place. We're here to share our personal experiences and insights with you, all while exploring the wild and diverse world of self-improvement.
So grab your headphones and get ready for a fantastic journey with us. Spiritual Sisters with Sass is here to uplift, inspire, and keep it real.
Thanks for tuning in, lovely listeners. Let's dive in.
Spirit and sass. Here we go. All right, here we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Spiritual Sisters with Sass. For those of you who are watching today, you can see that we are in the same place again. So I am in Costa Rica, came down here to train someone for laser quit services within her business. Super excited about it. And then we were having a conversation yesterday about our podcast and getting doing our recording today and what we wanted to talk about. And something that keeps coming up in a lot of our conversations is certainty, which then brings out our control. So I see we have Joe with us making smart ass remarks as per usual. But so today we're gonna get right into that. Let's dig in, Lynn. It's mostly the reason I wanted to bring this up, because it literally is surfacing in so many places, how our need for certainty in our lives, certainty meaning needing to know what's coming next and our need for that, and how it ends up showing up in our control of every situation that it comes from there when we're uncertain about one. So if you're comfortable with it, let's talk about a prime example. It would be this car situation. So your car got stolen and there hasn't been a solid solution to you getting an answer to having a vehicle. And so a way that this is already affected them, getting groceries is not as easy because Hako is 30 minutes from them down the mountain. Dog needed vet treatments. They needed to pick me up from San Jose. Like all of these things needed to be dealt with. And she hasn't been in Costa Rica without a vehicle since you basically got here.
Pretty much.
And now the certainty of needing that vehicle and knowing that they can start making plans for the future is weighing pretty heavily at the moment.
Right. It's almost like I've been brought to a complete place of surrender because I've been pretty open about all of my situation. So currently, finances are on the up and up, which is awesome and happy. Yet because I was on the down, that means there's a lot of catching up to do. I want a home in the jungle that needs a lot of things done to it. There's a lot of bills, kind of things, been minimum payment. So car gets stolen. There's 20K right there. Okay, purchasing the car, putting a bunch of money into the car, and then we did stuff like put a bumper on, new wheels, new tires, all that kind of shit. So we get the car stolen and we're just out 20 grand and that's it. And we're talking US. And there was no insurance on the car. You know, I mean, pros and cons currently, it was not a pro for us to have insurance on the car. So we didn't have it. It wasn't like in the expenses to pay. In fact, what's funny is that all this time, I thought one of the things that I pay yearly was insurance. And I was told I was wrong. So we've been in this place of and then finances. So sure, I have some spaces where I have credit where I could go deeper into debt. But that's something that I just like, I don't want to do. But I mean, at this point in a country where cars are basically 3 to 4 times what they regularly are in other countries, you know, if you are buying something for $4,000, you're kind of buying a hunk of shit. And we live up a mountain, so it's not even like we're going to be on paved roads. We're up this, like, I mean, you can ask Meridee, it's an insane road that sometimes people won't even drive down because they think it's so bad. But I don't know.
It's one of our bad logging roads
Yeah.
in Canada is essentially what it is.
It's essentially my road to come home that I live on, that people
a national highway
quad trail tours on all the time, and the river is basically like the road is just a rushing creek when
it pours rain.
So okay, so then what do I do?
Yeah, what's the next step? Because obviously vehicle is essential.
I mean, it seems to be here. If I lived in Jaco, that would be different because I can get a lot of my basic needs met in the city. It's not even a city, but like it's the closest thing to a city. I could walk to all the places, and they have Uber down there. So we can even, you know, pay like $3 to get to the store and back with a bunch of groceries.
Yeah.
But up here, we can't put the dog. We have a dirt bike, and I was very grateful when our car got stolen. One of the first things I said is, at least we have our dirt bike.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome. But it's come to a place of like, I mean, we've had the offering of someone to support us, but it's kind of on their timeline.
And when they say support, it doesn't mean like give them money or any of those things. It's sell them a vehicle is the way they're supporting them, because they're getting a new vehicle. And so they've offered, hey, I'll sell you the one that I have for a really great price.
In a loan,
yeah,
like in paying monthly, which is, it's really hard to get loans out here in Costa Rica too. I mean, first of all, I'm not a resident, though I am working on it. I've just been sitting, waiting for it for almost 2 years now. So that's fun. And yeah, it's a shit show right now. Yes. With very few options in order to make it happen, other than borrowing money once again from someone. And I also,
whether that be the bank, a line of credit,
or a family member. And I feel like I've almost like used that up too, because I borrowed money to get the place that I live in.
Yeah. So then when the situation comes, she's looking for the certainty of, give me a date as to when this is going to happen so I can start planning my life, so I can start moving. And Costa Rica doesn't work like that, first of all. It's not on your timeline almost ever. It is on the timeline of whatever works when it works. So he has to wait for his new vehicle to show up, and he could promise her on this day you'll have it, but it's Costa Rica, which means it could still be another 2 months before he even gets that vehicle showing up, even if they did promise him a certain date. So it doesn't make it easy to have that certainty. And so then we had a conversation around this, and how when one piece of our life doesn't feel like we have control over it, then we start looking for control in other places because we feel the need to have control. But the reality is we have none. We have control over ourselves and the way we react and respond to the situations that are presented to us, because you're never, ever going to have control over the situations. Because you don't have control over someone else and their reactions. You don't have control over the people who, like, the butterfly effect is real in these situations, but you have control over none of the things that are going to lead up to the certainty that you're looking for.
we used to go to Tony Robbins a lot, and one of the things that he says is it's never a lack of resources, it's always a lack of resourcefulness, which I can use to gaslight myself a lot, because then I think I need to take control of everything, and sometimes that really creates a lot of suffering for me. Because I mean, it's been very beneficial in the past. So here's the story. I was a nurse for a long time. I was an LPN, and I became an RN. And when I became an RN, I had been working in a certain emergency room for 10 years. Okay. And sorry, I saw a notification, and so
distraction.
So back to it. So I've been working in the emergency room for 10 years, and what they did was they gave you like free emergency room training when you worked in the ER, and you, in exchange, like said that you'd stay there for a year. So I finished my RN. I've been working in the ER for 10 years, and we have a bunch of brand new grads, like people that just got out of nursing school, coming into Emerge, and they're giving them this emergency course. And so I go to the boss and I say, I want to get in. And he's like, oh yeah, you're like number 10 in line. And I'm like, I don't think I should be. I think I should be number 1. I've worked in this Emerge for 10 years. I was getting my RN. And he said, well, that's not how it works. It's first come, first serve. And first of all, I've had an issue many times within nursing of being nothing but a fucking number that fills a spot that nobody gives a shit about. And that's how I felt again. And so I thought, well, fuck you. I'm not waiting for you, and I'm not giving you a year's service afterwards. I've given 10 years. Like, how can you not just, anyways, I got pissed off about it. And so I applied to do my own emergency nursing program, and I got in, and they said, great, you're in, you're on the next intake. And you know what? No, I came too far to be told that it's not going to work. So I sent them a message, and I was like, listen, great. I heard that I'm in on the next intake, but what can I do now so that I can start the program? And she was like, you know what? We actually have a way in for people like you, is what she said. People that don't take no for an answer. And so I've also been like, it's been very helpful for me to not just lay down and be like, oh, you said no. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember, Tony Robbins said that they used to put an ad out that said, looking for coaches, looking for high level world class coaches, right? Call this number. And so the coaches would call, and someone would be like, yep. And they'd be like, hello, is this like the job for coaching? They're like, yeah. Be like, well, I'd like to apply. They'd be like, no, click. They literally set it up where like some people would be like, okay, fuck you, and then never call again. But other people would be like, excuse me, like someone hung up on me. Yeah, what's your problem? Click. And literally what they were looking for is, by the time the person called back for like the third time, like, hey, you hung up on me. I don't think you know who I am. And they'd be like, okay, tell me. Like they were
He did that in the room as well. Like I went to go up to speak to him, and a woman literally like cut me off and like started sidetracking me. And I was like, she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, going to talk to Tony. He's like right there. And she's like, yeah, why don't you just tell me? And I was like, okay. So I told her. And then as I walked past, because he was right in front of my seat. And then as I walked past him, I literally like reached out and was like, and then he like grabbed me and grabbed my forehead, partly because of the people that were standing with him who were friends we had made friends with. And the guy was like, she's special. You need to reach out. And he like grabbed me and was like, you're special, kissed my forehead. And I sat down with him and I was like, I'm never watching my forehead again. But it was about the persistence. And that's one of the things that you need to push through. And so I understand that, but that's where we have to find a spot between push and balance. And so one of the things, a couple weeks ago, I had the call to do mushrooms, and I went in with like a teach me mindset was what I went in with. And what I came out with was two really, really, I mean, a few things, but two that apply to this. One of them is, if you're looking too hard for the lesson, with the challenge that is in front of you, or you're trying too hard, you're going to miss the whole purpose of it in the first place. So for me, that then leads into the next part that I got, the download I got, which was basically as soon as you feel that you need to push it, you're no longer in flow anymore, and you need to take a step back, take a deep breath, have some faith that everything you did while you were in flow is going to be brought to you in the right time. We need to be persistent, but we also can't push because the universe has its plan. And that's where I'm learning that when I start swimming upstream, the plan wasn't get upstream anyways. The plan is to get into the flow and go with where the universe has its plan to take me. And if I'm swimming upstream and the man of my dreams or my $1 million conversation is downstream, I'm postponing that by trying to take control and swimming against the current. So for me, finding that flow versus that control is a really fine line though. So it's, yes, I'm going to be persistent, but I'm not going to swim upstream. So when it feels like I'm pushing too hard, when it feels like, oh, but if I just do a little bit more, now I'm not in flow. Now my ego wants something so badly that it's trying to control. Certainty, my ego also needs. So if I'm seeking certainty and I am seeking control, what I need to be seeking is faith. I need to just settle in and understand that what's meant to come to me is going to come to me and that I don't have control over that at all. No matter what I do, I'm not going to change the outcome because the outcome was meant for me. That was meant for me is going to come to me.
Because essentially control is a lack of faith.
Yes. Which is where that faith over fear really comes in on everything in your life. So if you're in faith, hunting the thing down, like, I know that this guy's going to come through for me on the truck, then I can just sit and settle. Because also, what's the worst case that happens if the car doesn't show up at all? It means you need to find another solution. But you don't necessarily need to find another solution before the solution is right. Doesn't mean you don't keep your options open though.
Well, that's what was just coming to me, is like the way that I will deal with things when I don't know what to do is I'll sit and I'll ask for guidance, which is why meditation is such an important part of one's life, is because that's when the answers will come, right? Prayer is asking for what you want. Meditation is leaving space to receive it.
Yeah.
I remember when I was so busy teaching teacher trainings, I'll definitely spiritually bypass because I'm teaching meditation, therefore it's like I'm meditating.
Doing it.
So look at, I'm still like a really good teacher doing all the things that I tell people to. And I remember one time I taught a class and I was laying in Shavasana, and it was almost like I heard the universe go, oh, we've been waiting for this. And it was like all these ideas that just downloaded in that instant. And it was because I hadn't given space. And like, I swear it was like 8 months in that moment that I had not laid down and just had a moment. And I heard it. It was like a sigh, like, we've got so much shit for you, girl, finally.
Yeah.
And then that was like, so even in this moment, like if the car's not coming through, maybe it's not going to, but like, I'm not asking for direction. And yet it's just like kind of what's happened in this last year and a bit now, right? Financially, I was having difficulty. I was going in the wrong direction. The only time I listen is pain and money. So that's how the universe communicates with me. So I was having actually painful money. Mm-hmm. Yet, what happened? I met my partner who had no problem taking care of me during that time. But his taking care of me didn't match how I've always taken care of myself. And the problem was essentially that that's how I take care of myself, is by paying for everything. By, like I got lost. And so even though I was taking care of it, we talked about it a few times when I'd call you breaking down, I wasn't even seeing it as I'm totally taken care of. I didn't want for anything and all of my bills were being paid. But to me, that doesn't feel like I'm enough, right? I need to be making $30,000 a month and be this hero. But yet I was totally taken care of. So even in this moment, you're coming, I'm stressing, we're trying to get you a ride. We can't, we know how much it's going to cost to get you like these trips. And then you rent a car. And now I could get groceries. We could take the dog to the vet. Like, we were just provided for. When we had the issue with Rafa stuck in San Jose, you know, as much as it cost us a lot of money,
The
right?
solution still came.
It was still cheaper than a car.
Yeah.
You know? So I am taken care of and I am guided and I'm not lacking. I'm just stressing. Like, I'm also going to teach a retreat and I need to take a big suitcase and that does not fit on the motorcycle. So we have the car and then it's actually, we've almost found a way to get home next Saturday if we don't have our vehicle by then. So I am taken care of and the things are happening, but for me, I want to know, what day is this going to happen? How are we going to pay for it? What's the agreement? Here's the contract. And even when we have those things, it doesn't fucking work that way.
Yep.
I think the pandemic was like a really big eye opener for the world to realize it doesn't fucking matter what you think. The world just shut down.
Yep.
What are you going to do about it? And then look what happened. We got all these reports of like, look at the coral rebuilding itself when nobody's fucking swimming in it with all their suntan lotion wrecking everything.
Yep. And the turtles.
Like, all these things in such a short amount of time started to like repair, regenerate, regrow. Of course, we've shit on it again. Learning absolutely nothing from a lot of people, but it is what it is. I can't control that.
Mm-hmm.
I do remind myself a lot in sharing the coaching, like, I'm not in control of the universe. And I do have to say that because I think if I was in control of the universe, people would be way more naked. Okay. First and foremost, people would be way more naked. And, you know, there'd be, a lot more vagina eating. I don't know what, there'd be a lot of shit that I would change. But the reality is that I would only like really focus on myself and my world. I wouldn't have such an expansive view like the universe that can create an impact worldwide.
Yeah.
And it may never look like naked people and a bunch of vagina eating. I threw that out there, but like, looking at my yard, there's a bunch of people eating vaginas. That's great. But like, maybe those people don't want that.
I mean, that would not be ideal for me to be sitting here while all that's happening. But I mean, to each their own, but that's also it. And for me, it again goes back to like my DMT experience in the fact that let it go. Let it go. I have it tattooed. I see that we've got lots of comments over here.
Like vagina eating, I'm here for it.
And I've got let it go tattooed on my hand in a place that I see constantly because I don't have control over anything. I can take action, but that's where it basically stops. I can take action, but as soon as I feel the push, I'm no longer in flow anymore, which means I need to step back. There's certain things though that I do need to push, but it's still going to feel in flow when I push those things.
See, Rochelle always says that she's starting to differentiate between push and pull. And so she wants to do things she's pulled towards, not that she's pushing for.
Yep. Yep. When I feel called versus when I feel forced.
Right. Because swimming upstream would be pushing.
Yeah.
And going into flow, like,
lets me float down it. Yes. And so for me, settling into that and understanding like these lessons have been so strong because I honestly have no control. And again, in my DMT, it even said to me, like, every time you doubt yourself, you're doubting the greater picture. So stop doubting yourself. Stop doubting what you have in front of you. Stop doubting. So again, this whole faith over fear, we're not talking about faith in religion. We're talking about faith in the universe around you and that everything that you need is going to be brought to you. Then you don't control because it's going to come. Do what you want to initiate whatever it is you need, part of this manifestation thing, and it will come to you. Now, I'm reading a book called Mind Magic, and it's literally about the science behind manifestation. So it's about the chemical buildup in your brain. He's a neurologist, and he talks about the pieces of your brain that are activated through manifestation and how manifestation is actually like focusing, because our brain has 60,000 thoughts in a day. At least 50,000 of those thoughts are useless thoughts that have no purpose and are probably negative. So it's about learning how to control your thoughts, learning how to control your mind, but also flowing, putting things into perspective so that you can see what you want. So your brain will start picking up other ways for you to go after that thing. I had a conversation with my coach the other day, and we start talking, and he'll just get like right into flow. And we just started talking. And he's like, well, and what are you doing? And so I told him all the things that I'm doing. And he's like, oh, I'm going to add more to your list. And was like, so I want you to start reaching out to podcasters and influencers. I want you to see if you can collaborate with some of these people, blah, blah, blah. And so I like did that. And in the same day that I started doing it, I booked a podcast and I have 2 calls booked. So I'm also stepping out of my comfort zone, because in so many ways I'm doing what they call DMing. So I'm private messaging these people, but it feels right because my purpose is to reach more people. Right? So it's not, it's again, it's in the flow. I'm not looking for any kind of certainty, but I know that everything I'm doing is heading in the general direction of my goals. I have no certainty. That being said, there are definitely moments that I'm like, why am I not just making the money that I want to make? And why is this not just exactly what I want it to be? And another part of that also is, once you have it, you then back off. And then I started thinking about how at the gym, you get to those last reps and you're just exhausted and you're like, I just want to get this over with. And then when it's over, you take this big sigh of like, whew. But the thing that's coming up next is I need to go get this done again, because I now have 3 sets of this same 15 reps or whatever of this exhausting exercise. So incorporating that into my manifestation of, like, yes, I'm going to take a deep breath when I get it, but also being ready to continue to get started again, because in order to get it, keep it, maintain it, grow it, there's still things that I need to do. So still not looking for certainty, not looking to control it, but being willing to continue doing the things that have started to pay off in other ways.
Yeah, because we do have to have action. Even if you want to win the lottery, you have to buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just gonna win. I mean, that being said, it probably isn't gonna like fly on the wind into your house while you're sitting on your couch.
No.
Because I think there are some stories about people like reaching down and picking up a lottery ticket, but they had to leave their home to do it. There's got to be some level of action to move forward, to let the universe know that that's exactly what you want. In fact, Napoleon Hill talks about like the first step is a decision.
Yep.
Right? You need to make the decision that you're going to do the thing. Otherwise, you stay in limbo. You stay in confusion.
And thoughts become things.
Yeah.
Bob Proctor says it over and over.
Well, I mean, the one thing is, I read a thing by Gabby Bernstein the other day, which just annoyed the fuck out of me. And it said, welcome to opinionated Colynn. It's just starting to get out there. But like she said, manifestation is the positive thinking and aligning your frequency with the universe. And it's like, no, actually, manifestation is happening all the time. And you can be aligned with the universe if you're thinking shitty thoughts, and you can be aligned with the universe if you're thinking amazing thoughts. I have thought positive thoughts for a very long time and still thought what a piece of shit I am quietly in the background.
Yep.
And guess what I manifest? Like, people that really like to use pieces of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's that is just toxic positivity, and I have no space for it any longer. And because I've used it myself to be like, oh, everything's fine. That's okay. Don't be upset with them just because they didn't give a shit about you and said something really rude and derogatory. It's okay. You're always in alignment no matter what, which is like, even just, I mean, what I hear you saying is finding a balance or moderation, which is, in my opinion, the exact point of yoga. Yoga is about balance. It's about finding that space. And so it's about finding balance in kind of everything. So yeah, I need to be aware of where my thoughts are, and I need to bring them to a more positive place. But if I completely ignore all the negative all the time, I'm actually attracting more negative than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so in this space, it's like, recognizing where I still need to have action, but I can't control everything.
Yeah.
Because I gaslight myself a lot. I'm like, oh, I'll take responsibility. I'll take responsibility for the world being in utter collapse because Colynn's such a piece of shit. And that's not really helpful. So I go, well, what in me then attracted the fact that my car got stolen? Right? Where is my, if I'm in alignment, what's the alignment that gets, like, I'm just out 20 grand and I can't get a new car now? Like, what is that?
See, and for me, it's about the acknowledgement of the challenging things happening. Yeah, there's some like personal responsibility that we need to take. For me, though, it's about the fact the personal responsibility side of it is that there's a lesson for me to learn within this, whatever it may be. Still no idea what that is, but there's a lesson within whatever's happening that is challenging. And having that as an attitude is really great, but also not getting so far into that you miss the whole purpose of the lesson because you're so busy looking for it.
Right.
And for me, that was probably the biggest thing is I start looking sometimes too hard for the lesson and then I stop finding it. And then as soon as I'm like, I don't know why this happened. I'm still in the mindset that it's happening for me.
Right.
But maybe I won't know what the purpose of it was, but there was something in it. So like an example for me that's coming about the car thing with Lynn is to learn to not control, because in a lot of aspects of your life, there's been a lot of control, a lot of I need to take control, a lot of taking control because it's the only way to feel safe. And so here's another place that the universe is like, here, I'm going to make you uncomfortable again. Stop trying to get comfortable.
And the control piece, like I said, can be a very root of my suffering, because I'm trying to, like, can you get a date? Can we get this? Can we get that? Da 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 da. And what that does is create more chaos in my life.
Mm-hmm.
If I learn to completely surrender, I would understand that my car was stolen and that's about it. There's not much I can do about it. And that when I need a vehicle, I will have one. And that essentially is the truth, even though I don't want it to look like that. I want it to look like when I need a new car, there's my brand new fucking Land Rover that just appeared in my driveway from the alien ship overnight, and now I'm fine.
And I don't have payments on it.
I don't need to do anything except just drive because I'm a bougie bitch. And it doesn't happen that way, yet look at all the ways in which when I needed a vehicle, I've had one.
Yep.
So letting go of the struggle, letting go and really learning the true meaning of surrender. Like, I'm good. I'm taken care of. It's fine. Well, if I don't have a car, then I'm not meant to do it. Okay.
Yeah. But also so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because not having that control, and also in our relationships, how that will show up. For example, Lynn has a grown-ass man as a husband. He is a man. He's not a child. He doesn't need to be taken care of. And yet there's moments where she's like, I'm a caregiver. And I was like, why though? Because he would be figuring it out without you if you weren't there. So how is this grown-ass man that you keep telling me is a grown-ass man able to be a grown-ass man when you don't even give him the opportunity? So it's very similar. I just got information that I'm not happy about in a situation with my daughter that makes me incredibly uncomfortable. And the only thing I can do is push her away, potentially lose her, let her do what it is that she's going to do. I feel like those are really the only two options that I have in this anyways. And I have no control over the outcome. I have no control over the action she's going to take, no matter how strongly I disagree with them. And so I'm sitting in a place where I'm going to give you my feedback and tell you how concerned I am about the decision you may be making. And then I'm going to tell you that my fear is coming up because I'm scared to lose you or whatever it is. But now I just have to sit back and let whatever's going to happen because I have no control over it anyways. And I'm never going to have control over it. Even when your children are younger and you think that you have control over what they're doing because they choose to follow your rules, you didn't actually have control in that. They chose what to do, which is also how come we end up fighting with them. So yeah, they chose to follow the rules that you have set out, but it doesn't mean that you had control over that situation. Really, the child has the decision in the end what they're going to do. So they have the control.
Because they're their own fucking person. They're not yours.
And you're choosing to, and you raise them and you're teaching them how to be their own person, only for us to try and tell them what to do constantly. I don't agree with the decision that she's making, but it isn't my decision to make. I don't want to pick her up off the floor because of the decision she's making. But guess what? Doesn't mean I won't be there to do exactly that. I have no control. So finding the balance, I think, you guys, is the whole purpose of this, is finding your balance between being the one or being in control, which really is an illusion, or being in flow and having some faith. Mic drop. And that's it for us, you guys.
We're gonna close out here. Thanks everyone for joining us and listening, and
we hope you get some valuable tidbits from it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you guys.
thank you for joining us on this spirited journey today.
We hope you enjoyed diving into the world of self-improvement with us. Two sisters who found their own unique paths.
Remember, life is a tapestry of experiences, and it's how we embrace them that makes all the difference.
So whether you're on your yoga mat, exploring mindfulness, or simply navigating life's twists and turns, always keep that spirit and sass alive.
We are Colynn and Meridee Lockoff, and we're here to remind you that happiness and abundance are within reach.
Stay connected with us on social media and keep those questions and stories coming. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, beautiful souls, keep doing the work, keep sharing your experiences, and keep living a life that's authentically you.
And never forget to add a little extra sass to your day.
Spirit and sass, always.